Hi, Tarizibs here. Now, from the previous segments and all talked about people, culture, philosophy, strategies, etc. These connections and insights remind us that our individual pursuits and collaborations are part of a larger narrative, one that values unity, wisdom, and mutual support. By embracing these principles, we can work together to build a more harmonious and thriving world. Yes, it will indeed. Now, a larger narrative refers to a broader story or context that connects individual experiences, events, and pursuits to a shared purpose, meaning, or goal. It's the idea that our personal stories and endeavors are part of a more extensive, interconnected narrative that transcends our individual lives. Think of it like this: individual pursuits, your personal goals, passions, and interests. Larger narrative, the broader story of how your pursuits contribute to the greater good, connect with others, and align with universal values like unity, wisdom, and mutual support. For example, consider a musician working on a solo project. Their individual pursuit is creating music, but the larger narrative might be how their music brings people together and foster community, that's unity. How their creative process involves learning from others and sharing knowledge, that's wisdom, and how the music provides comfort, inspiration, and support to listeners, that's mutual support. This larger narrative perspective helps us see that our individual efforts are part of a more extensive web of connection, contributing to a greater whole. The concept of a larger narrative is a powerful idea that can help us find meaning, connections, and purpose in our lives. Interestingly, it is awesome to know that God is the source of this larger narrative. In fact, many people believe that God is the author of the larger story of humanity and that our individual lives and pursuits are part of His greater plan. In this view, the larger narrative is not just a human construct, but a divine one guided by God's wisdom, love, and purpose. Our individual stories and pursuits are seen as connected to God's overarching story of creation, redemption, and restoration. Yes, you can say that God is the author of the larger narrative, source of unity, wisdom, and mutual support, guide and director of our individual pursuits, one who weaves our stories together into a beautiful tapestry. This perspective can bring a sense of purpose, meaning, and connection to our lives and help us see that our individual efforts are part of something much larger than ourselves. Remember, you are part of a bigger story and your life has purpose and meaning in God's eyes. Check out these references that support the idea of God as the source of the larger story. We now know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That's in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. The Lord will fulfill His purpose for me. Your steadfast love, O God, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands. Psalm 138, verse 8. These verses remind us that God has a plan and purpose for our lives and that He is working everything out for our good. Our individual stories and pursuits are part of His larger narrative, and He is guiding and directing us towards His desired outcome. You can connect the dots between the larger narrative and God's plan, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10. So, know that you are God's masterpiece, created for a purpose. Tarizibs.